Hi, thank you, and welcome back. I'm so happy that you could join me once again. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night. Whatever time of day it is you decided to join me. I heard something funny the other day, but before we get into that, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share the video. A boy went to his father the other day and he said, Dad, how did we get here? How was people made? And his father said, Oh, well, Adam and Eve were the first people. They had children. The children became adults, and they had children, so forth, so on. People were made. So the boy, not satisfied, goes to his mother. He says, Mom, how did people get here? How were we made? And the mother says, Oh, we were monkeys, and we evolved. And the monkeys, once they evolved, began to have people and so forth and so on. So the boy goes back to his father. And he says, Father, you didn't tell me the truth. Mother said that we were monkeys and we evolved. And the father looks at the son and says, Your mother's speaking of her side of the family. Okay, so I'd like to get into a topic today about Proverbs 31. The reason why I chose this topic is because oftentimes the scriptures, or at least a lot of it, is looked at with a very male chauvinistic point of view. It is taken that everything's geared toward what man wrote. And very interestingly enough, Proverbs 31 was not written by a man. Although it's subscribed under Solomon's Proverbs, Solomon actually gathered the Proverbs through listening to people that were wise and having his scribes record what they say. Hence, we get Proverbs. Okay. So, Proverbs 31. Do you listen to people when they're giving you wisdom? A lot of times women often want to say, Hey, I want a good husband. I want a good man. But what does it take to be a good wife? Have you actually examined this? You see, God wouldn't give me anybody that I would make miserable. So the first part of change, when you want something good in your life, you'll see the change in yourself. If you want a lot of money, then you become very money conscious. You become very money responsible because you give a person that's reckless a lot of money and they can become a great danger. They can become very, very dangerous. But back to our topic, Proverbs 31. And the first verse said, the words of King Lemuel, which his mother taught him. See, that establishes right there. The words of King Lemuel, which his mother taught him. And the second verse says, what son? The son of my womb, the son of my vows. Second verse. She's establishing in the second verse that I biologically had you and you are the son of marriage. You're the son of my vows. And the first thing she begins to teach him is that it is not for kings or princes to drink wine, a strong drink in the third verse. And she said, be sober-minded because you are a judge of many people. She said, or at least in the fourth verse, you will forget the law and pervert its judgments. Okay, so we get to the 10th verse, which is the meaning of our topic. And she begins to tell him what kind of wife she would have for her son, the prince, to be the next queen. You see, this is important. Many women say, I'm a queen. But what are these attributes? What are the attributes of a queen? All right. So in the 10th verse, she says, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far beyond rubies. Now, let's not confuse this. He didn't say virgin. He said virtuous. There's a big difference between virgin and virtuous, okay? We're not going to examine those situations, but virtuous woman, a meaning of character, a meaning of who she is as a person, her perceptions, her beliefs, and spiritualness. Okay. So the 11th verse, she says, the heart of her husband does she safely entrust in her, that he shall have no need of spoil. That means in her virtue, he doesn't have to worry about her infidelity, cheating. I saw a guy, he told me I was pretty and I needed to be validated by that. And then in the 12th verse, she says, she will do him good and not evil the days of her life. So this establishes that marriage is not a temporary situation. It's a permanent situation. Many people think when they get married, there's always an option of divorce. There's no option of divorce, not scripturally. Whoever tells you that, they have not read the scriptures perfectly. I don't care what they say. This divorce was not ordained in a part of marriage when God first created the institution. Okay? All right. And then it describes in the 13th verse, she seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. Now that's important because she works willingly. This is something she gets a joy from doing. She's happy to commit to her marriage, husband, and duties as a wife. She's a queen. Now let's think about this and think carefully. She's a queen and she's working willingly with her hands. So there is no, she sits at home, does nothing while the husband does everything. This shows a very intricate design that marriage is a two-part working body system, okay? Now, she is like the merchant ship. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth while it is yet night to give meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. Oh man, think about what they're saying here. She rises while it's yet night. Let that resonate. She gets up and gives meat to her household and a portion to her maids. She has maids, and they could very well do this. But why? Ask yourself that question. Let me tell you about intimacy, okay? Intimacy, and I learned this the hard way, is far beyond physical intercourse. Intimacy dwells from a place where you know someone for the very little things. This is what brings relationships to a bond, to a closeness. And if someone knows how much salt your husband likes on his food, they are too intimate. If someone knows the very small details of how your husband likes his food prepared, they are too intimate. That's a very delicate closeness. Okay? And she trusts no one with the care of her household in that area but herself. That's why she rises while it's yet night and gives meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. And then we go on. Let's look at verse 16. She considereth a field, she buy it. And with the fruit of her hands, she planted a vineyard. Now, I don't know about you, but farm work takes work, okay? And she considered a field and she buys it. That means she's smart financially. She's adequately able to manage the household money and finances. This is so important. You see, she's capable, and that's very significant. Now, keep in mind, this is a queen telling her son the attributes of a virtuous woman. Verse 17 says, she girded her loins with strength and she strengthens her arms. So she's strong enough, capable enough, willing enough, and very much so working as a part of the home. A very intricate, equal part of the home. Men, your wife, although we be the head, she's still the neck. You break the neck, and the head is no more good. Continue to keep that in mind. Okay. She perceived her merchandise as good, and her candle goeth not out by night. That means, it goes back to that scripture, she riseth while it's yet night. I mean, she's not a very lazy woman. She's a woman who says, I'm ever vigilantly on the job. My duty as a wife, as a mother, as a household leader, I'm ever on the job. And it's our duty too. So women, don't think that I'm just placing this. We're just examining Proverbs 31, okay? And it says, she laid her hands to the spindle, her hands hold no distaff. She stretcheth her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household. All her household is clothed with scarlet. Her merchandises are good. She's kind at heart. She sees the problems of the world. She's perceptive. It says her husband is known in the gates when he's sitting amongst the elders of the land. Now, why is that important, that verse? I want to focus for a moment. Back then, there were no cell phones. There was no mass communication.